This episode will be dedicated to the dream pop artist from London, UK, known as Hannah Who. If you want to hear more, please stick around. This is All Gas, No Trash. My name's Adam. Welcome back to the program and welcome to a brand new episode. As usual, I do want to do a bit of an introduction introducing the artist, and the way in which I found Hannah Who was through Spotify, though I'm not sure if it was an auto-generated playlist or if I had found her through the TikTok/Reel feature available on Spotify that allows you to hear music along with like a snippet of a video, and you could scroll through a bunch of songs after hearing 15 or 30 seconds of an artist. But I can't remember if it was one or the other, but regardless, I heard this single called Love is Easy Chaos, and I thought, wow, this is a really fantastic song. I got to find out if this artist has more songs available. So I go on the profile and come to find out that there is only one song available, which is Love is Easy Chaos. So I was under the impression that this was her debut single. However, once you type Hannah Who in whatever search engine you use, you'll find out that there was another set of songs that were available for an EP called Prisoner of Love. But once you actually click on the link, those songs are no longer available. So they've been scrubbed off the internet and scrubbed off of different digital streaming platforms. So I thought, oh, how unfortunate that I can't listen to these songs, because I would have loved to have heard what she sounded like previously versus what she sounds like now. The next thing I ended up doing was going on YouTube to see what would turn up, and there were a few different search results that I ended up looking into. The first being the BBC Six session that she had done with the specials. So, one thing that I had found out through her bio is that she had performed with the specials for an extended period of time, and this was one of the things that she had done with them, which was like a cover of a Talking Head song called Listening Wind. So I was like, oh, wow. So this girl has had a little bit of a history in music. She's had a bit of a tenured career in music in some limited regard, right? As far as I know, she could have been performing for like the last 10 years and I would have never have known, but this was one piece of the puzzle. One other thing that had come up was this internet radio station on YouTube, or at least that's what I believe it to be, and it's called Tonic Sound with Adam Fysick. Within this program, there was a 15-minute interview that I heard where I got to learn a bit more about Hannah Who, where she talked about her family, where she was inspired by her sister to sing, and she's been obsessed with like the Annie musical, Little Orphan Annie, the red-haired curly-haired girl. And she used to perform and dance as a child, and I think she also had mentioned that her mother had written songs herself, but nobody in her family had had like a professional career within music. But now we have Hannah who's trying to pursue her creative endeavors and trying to get her music out there, especially with this single that she had just put out called Love is Easy Chaos, in addition to the EP that she has scrubbed off the internet. But yeah, I thought this was a really interesting track, and I was trying to find out as much information as I could about her. And she does talk about a little bit of her experience performing with the specials, including having a personal relationship with Terry Hall, which was cool to hear. So I don't want to get carried away with too much exposition on Hannah Who, because I think there's plenty of opportunity to come in the months to come. Maybe she'll put out more singles. So once that starts to roll around, hopefully she'll give more background about herself, and there'll be plenty of things to discuss. But here it is. Here is a little bit of a short snippet or introduction to who she is. And actually, there is one other thing I wanted to point out as far as like personal taste goes. She's a big fan of things that happened in the 60s decade, from the music, the fashion, the culture, things that encapsulated the 60s era. She's very much enthusiastic about, including like Patsy Cline and Tammy Wynette. Well, those are some of the artists that she enjoys, but I would imagine she likes the Ronettes and all those artists from that era. But I do want to transition over to listening to the music, so let's go ahead and do so. And let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna listen to "Love Is Easy Chaos" from Hannah Who. I hope you end up enjoying it. Pull it up on your digital streaming platform of choice and let's give it a listen. Once again, that track is "Love Is Easy Chaos" from Hannah Who, and let's give it a whirl. Going in. All right, welcome back. That was Hannah Who with her track called "Love Is Easy Chaos." Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. As far as my personal thoughts, I think this is a superb track that, in her own words, I mean, she is very much inspired by the 60s era, including the music, the fashion, and everything else that encapsulated that time period. It very much comes across within the music itself, to the point that I think of artists like the Ronettes or a lot of the pop artists that were all female groups. You know, that's the thing that comes to mind for me. And as far as like contemporary artists, one that comes to mind for me is Alice Phoebe Lou. So I think you'll feel right at home with Hannah Who if you enjoy, 60s pop in addition to artists like Alice Phoebe Lou or, I don't know if it's a stretch to say Melody's Echo Chamber, but I guess artists that are in the dream pop genre would probably be appropriate. But just a really enjoyable track, and I was trying to find... Okay, so I was under the impression that what I was hearing was like a vibraphone, but it sounds like the instrument that is making those vibraphone sounds, or whatever it is, I think it's an instrument called the Mellotron, because I was trying to look through the credits of the song itself, because there was a list of people that were, featured working or collaborating on this track, and I was like, what the hell is a Mellotron? So then I look it up, I'm like, oh, you know what, this kind of does sound like that vibraphone type of noise that I'm hearing within the track. And then there's also these things that you would frequently hear in 60s music called castanets, and you might see like Spanish flamenco dancers like holding them. They look like clams, but they make like the clapping sound that you can hear in the background. I'm like, oh, how retro, like how fitting that you could hear those instruments within this track, which, it takes you back to that era, which she's so fond of. And, one other thing I forgot to mention is that she has been featured on a Noel Vague album called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And if I'm not mistaken, Noel Vague typically does covers of other artists where she does it in a bossa nova style. But Hannah Who was featured on this album. I thought that's pretty cool. That's another thing where we get to find out more about her background and get a better understanding of her music career thus far. But, I'm just very excited to hear more music from her, to keep up with her, her career as it unfolds. I mean, as far as I know, from the interview that I heard on Tonic Sound with Adam Feisik, to that point, up until the point of the interview, she had 4 demos that she had already worked on. So by this point, I imagine she's already recorded them, or at least I would hope so. So, we could speculate that she's at least like 50% done, or maybe even 40% done with her debut album. And when that officially comes out, I couldn't tell you, but, we'll be keeping an eye on her, seeing what music she releases or what singles she has coming out this year. If she has, anything else coming out this year, we'll certainly keep our eye on it. But hopefully you enjoyed the track "Love Is Easy Chaos," and hopefully you follow her on Instagram and support her in whatever way you can. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you all next time.